Welcome to the 5x5 podcast. I'm your host, Lil Spice Ice, aka Ice. Today, I am here with J Flight 31 and my boy MP Complete 34, and we're here on episode 2. And today, we're going to talk about the draft and all the free agent trades and moves that have went down today. Uh, MP, would you like to start?
Yeah, so maybe a good place to start would be generally, what do you guys think of the draft? Whether it's your team or, uh, drafts you like, drafts you're confused by, drafts you didn't like, anything like that. Maybe even questions about who picked who, then why they picked them, anything like that. So, uh, you guys have any ones that jumped out at you
Jaden Ivey to the Pistons. I was kind of shocked by that.
about him dropping, or about like his fit
Just
going
yeah,
there, or
yeah, his fit there in Detroit.
Mhm.
Cause I feel
yeah.
like they just need to like live and die by Cade.
Oh,
I,
okay. So you don't like that him going to Detroit then?
it's not that I don't like it. I'm just confused by it. It can work.
Okay.
Like Goran Dragic and Eric Bledsoe a couple years back, like their backcourt, it can work. Like shit like that can work. It's just like I'm
IT,
confused.
yeah. hmm Okay, so just the multiple ball. I mean, I think we've seen also good evidence of like just multiple ball handler offenses going well though too, right? Like you got like I don't know Booker, CP, I don't know CP Harden, uh, Jalen Brun. He had the Mavs thing, Brunson, Dinwiddie, uh,
Yeah, that didn't work.
Luca. So, so I think I honestly think it's like almost a prerequisite sometimes to have that, multiple playmakers on the floor. But Jalen, what do you think? What do you
Um,
think about the Ivy thing?
I like the Ivy thing. Like you said, we've seen point guard, shooting guard duos before, and they've seemed to work pretty well. Sometimes they don't, obviously, like you said, with the Suns, but I think it's a little bit different. Cade is a little bit more of like a playmaker, and Ivy's a little bit more of like a scorer. So I think that could work like pretty well. They kind of just got to build around him well, and I think kind of like an underrated factor in those two is they also have Jalen Duren. Um, he's a good young center, good defensive center. I kind of hope offensively he grows because I feel like him offensively is really going to help those two guards, like take the pressure off of especially Cade, and not just Duren, but like also Ivy too. Like Ivy getting better, improving, taking some of the weight off of Cade. So I think the Pistons are going to be very scary if it's done right. If they get the right role players, if they get like just the right players, they get like defense. They kind of build around them, shooting, defense. Just build it the right way. They build it the right way. That three is going to be a big three.
Yeah, I also agree that I liked Ivy there, and there's a lot of scenarios where if he went to the Kings, I don't think I'd even mind it. I guess I think they probably should have picked him, but uh, I don't know if I'd like it. It's not the ideal fit. I really liked him. I think honestly, a lot of this is really what we're saying is like the it's a bigger testament to what Cade is than it is really about Ivy. Because like the biggest reason I had him number one last year is that not only do I view him as like this high usage guy, but he's just such a diverse offensive and defensive player. He's got size, but he also defends with like heart. He's got good technique. He defends well. And then he's 7 foot wingspan while being 6'6", and then he's also just a great shooter,
Athletic.
good ball handler, good playmaker. So you could complement him really well with a lot of different types of players. So it's really easy to build around. And that type of player I think fits really well around Ivy too. Someone to take the pressure off him, shoots well, so he could be a complementary player to him. Also defends well, doesn't make Ivy have to, defend, high level at a high level necessarily, but also, he also has the size. It's like a pretty actually relatively big backcourt too. So, like, Ivy has like a 6'9" wingspan, 6'4", so, and he's just a big dude, really hyper athletic. He gets into the paint, which Cade is probably he gets into the paint too, but he's not like the same athlete that Cade is. So I like the fire and ice type of vibe that they got going on, where they do different things and they complement each other well, I think. So I liked it overall. Um, but I get what you mean. Like I think it's we don't really know what Ivy's gonna be yet. So it's probably
Yeah,
just we don't know how good he is. But if he's if he lives up to anything near his potential, then I like the fit overall.
yeah. I think for a lot of teams, this is like kind of finding like either their main guy or the duo for the main guy, which sounds kind of obvious, but like if you look at the Magic, I feel like Paolo's their main guy, and then I don't know if it will be Cole. Like I don't know if Cole is that secondary guy, but like
France, man, I love France.
Yeah, true, Franz. That's right. I,
I
I
love.
I don't know if that's like their duo, but like it feels like that's kind of what it's looking like for now, at least. Like the
Yeah,
Thunder with FBA and Chet.
yeah. They
Uh,
realistically, they don't have their duo yet. Not the Thunder, sorry. The man, who
Magic.
just the Magic. Yeah, I think they're really trying to get their first guy first, and then they're kind of figuring out the second guy. You need a first guy to get a second guy type of thing. So, I think that was a lot of it too. So, but yeah, I agree with you. Like, and I also think that most teams, when they're trying to find players like this who fit well, who are like high-end players, you don't really always get the chance to go for a high potential guy, but also a guy who fits with the other one and complements them well, which I think in this case worked out pretty well. Because a lot of times it's like, man, I got to pick the player who's kind of really similar to the one I already have, like Sexton Garland type of thing. You draft Sexton 1 year, and then all of a sudden, 2018, you draft Garland on top of him, and it's like they're not complementary exactly. So, and I think, and you just take the best player available. But in this case, I think they did that while getting someone who actually kind of fits and has like a lot of upside as well.
Yeah.
So I liked it overall. But I see what you mean though, Ice. I'd say another one I really liked was the Spurs. I really liked. I like the whole vibe. Like, I guess you got to include the Dejounte Murray part of this too. Of like, we know now that they ended up trading him away. But I like the types of players they went for in the draft. Um, and building for the future. I like that a lot. I really liked the Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley a lot. And then they also got Sohan, which is really like he was definitely like lots of potential there. They got the shooting coach extraordinaire there. Uh, so if Sohan can shoot, man, like he'd be a really really valuable player. So I'm really interested to see what happens to them, and I really like the upside on Wesley and Branham too.
Yeah, I think this is. I think the Spurs are really building up for. I'm gonna butcher his name. When I'm gonna butcher his name.
Wembanyama, yeah,
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 Wembanyama.
Victor Wembanyama.
yeah. I was gonna butcher that. I think they're building towards him. I think they're really. I think they're willing to like throw whatever way to get him because there's a lot of hype towards him. I know that for a fact. Um, I know there's
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of hype towards him, and
Yeah,
he
even
seems like
aside from that, I'm glad. Like, I feel like the last couple years, everyone's always like, "Oh, this Spurs should just, like blow it up because I don't really know what they are." And they were the 10th seed this year. I like them. They got fight and stuff, but like, exactly, I don't know exactly where they're gonna go. And so I like that they made a very distinct decision now to like just move on from Murray, especially capitalizing on uh Murray's All-Star year too, because I think we could talk about the trade of Murray later, but I think they did really well in getting value for him as well. That I don't think they would have necessarily gotten, even next year or years prior. So I like that as well.
For me, I liked it because the Spurs know for a fact that free agents do not want to go to San Antonio. Like
Also
stars
good
don't.
point.
Yes, stars
Yeah.
do not want to go to San Antonio. So it's like,
Yeah.
Dejounte Murray's a star, but he's not the. It's not like he's. I don't want to say he's not like a go-to guy, but he's a playmaker for sure, right? But playmakers need to give the ball to other like better players. I feel like to make their lives easier, get them easier shots. Because if you have a playmaker that's just feeding role players, if those role players aren't hitting, you're not winning the game.
Yeah, and even
Yeah.
if you look at if you look at the Spurs themselves, their success has been highly predicated on finding the stars in the draft, right? From Duncan, Robinson, Kawhi, Ginobili, Parker,
Tim Duncan.
like all So I think like you just said, Ice, like I think nobody's really gonna want to sign there, and then and then I don't really think Dejounte Murray can even be like your second best player, honestly. Like I think he's got to be like your second and third, like in between there, best player. So I think the way, if you really look yourself in the mirror, I think the way to do it is just really just bottoming out. Like of all the players in the draft, I think Branham and Wesley have like I was really intrigued with them as like primary creator types. But they're very, there's some distinct things that they need to work on but if they were to work on them, then I think they have like a lot of upside, which is I love that part of them drafting as well, because it wasn't just like blowing it up, but like the guys they picked are like really high potential scoring guards who, in Wesley's cases, I really like his floor as a defender too. Branham has like this Booker vibe to him where he's just a great scorer, likes the midi and stuff. So I just like, you know, I like the types of players they went for as well. And then Soana's just a lot of upside potential. So including just actually deciding to just tank and try to get the pick for this next year too. What other teams interested you guys?
What was I gonna say? The Rockets. So
Rockets are great.
high.
Yeah.
I'm very high on the pick they made at 17. I'm very high on Eason.
Yep, me too.
He's a guy. So when I watch tape on him, I watch tape on a lot of like shooters with height, because that's like I really like those type of players, like
Sure.
guys
Yeah.
that can shoot, are like 6'7", 6'8". They can kind of shoot over people. Stretch bigs, I'm not really like. There's like a difference for me. It's like 6'6", 6'9", like straight shooters. I like a lot, especially if they're like they can finish at the rim a little bit. But Eason, I feel like, can do more than that. Like he has shooting potential. I saw people say he's a hard worker, which I mean, that's a good thing too.
I mean, he
Obviously,
even improved
but
from his freshman year to his sophomore year. He improved a ton. He wasn't a good free
Yeah.
throw shooter. Wasn't a good shooter at all.
Oh yeah, he was like
80% free throw shooter on massive volume this year,
he was,
which is like
he was-
really saying a lot.
right. He was so undrafted. Like he was completely off boards for so long. Like freshman year, I think in high school, he was off. Like he wasn't
Probably,
even really
yeah.
like looked at. So like this is like for him, this is big, and like especially on a team where it's like I can get better at shooting on this team, because this team isn't. Not gonna say this. I mean, I'm not saying this is a playoff team. I'm not gonna go there and say this is a playoff team, but like it's also not, a bad team. It's not a bad team, but it's not a playoff team, obviously. I think this is a good team to really show that he can help win, even when they're losing. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll shoot, like I don't know. Let's say he shoots like 4-4 from three, or probably not. He probably won't shoot that much because like Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., players like that. But he probably won't shoot like that much. But he'll take his shots, and like, he's got that shooting potential. He's long, versatile. His defense is really good. 7'2" wingspan at 6'8". I like this. Like this is probably the best pick outside of the top 10.
Okay.
Like,
I see. Like a lot of
all
people
the
would
picks.
a lot of people would probably disagree with you. Like the thing I heard about him, which I disagree with, like he was 11th on my board, and so the things he would say about him is like he can't go right at all. He can't go left at all. He only goes right, and he only pretty much drives, and he has this like bulldozer mentality where he'll just drive and just go through anybody at the rim. And he's like the athlete that can do it, but he's kind of reckless. How well does that type of style translate to the NBA? But he's like the type of athlete who can do that. His shooting form is also a little bit questionable. It's also a pretty big jump from the year prior, but like I was saying, the free throw shooting this year and just his overall shooting has definitely improved a ton. And I think I buy into it a bit. But his just level of defensive playmaking is just I don't want to say unprecedented, but it's super super rare of the types of steals he gets. Like he is like his hands. I think he measured like his hands were like the biggest measured in the combine like recently. And so and you could tell on the film, the dude just like sticks his hand anywhere and just the ball's just in his hands like he's Spider-Man or something. And
Yeah.
and he's just such a defensive playmaker. And I also like him along with I don't know if the Rockets view the center man, I'm blanking. The guy last year
Sengun?
Sengun, yeah, right. I don't know what they view him as, but like I like Eason next to him as well, and DeBroy Smith too with them. and they also got Ty Washington. So they'll be like a high pace team with like good playmakers at center. And he's Eason's a good cutter. I like the Eason uh Sengun combo, and then I also like just a lot of like Jabari Smith's a good defender next to Jalen Green, and then so is Tar Eason. So I think I like those picks too. And Ty dropped to 29, which is another. A lot of people had him like as a lottery pick too.
Yeah, that's true. I thought, yeah, I agree. I thought it was gonna go higher. I think something must have happened. Like someone must like they must have just like I don't know. I feel like something must have like just clicked off in like GM's head and we're like, we just don't want this guy. Like
Well, yeah,
the
yeah.
website I'm looking at is like he doesn't say his wingspan, so I don't know. 6'3", 180. Like
He has a big wingspan. It's like 6'9".
Oh, okay. But yeah, still like I don't see like I didn't think I mean I kind of had a feeling he's gonna drop, but I didn't think he was gonna drop
Well,
this.
it's
down.
just
Like,
kind of like
almost
yeah,
second round.
it's kind of like what we were talking about last week, where it's this small guard syndrome type of thing of like, if I told you like he's not super athletic, he's not super like pretty much any adjective any positive adjective I could give you, he's not super anything, and he's 6'3", not an elite shooter, and so it's like, where do you pick that player, right? And
Yeah.
so I think he's a very floor generally type of player. Like I could totally like he's definitely the type of player who I would not draft personally. Which is why like on my board he moved down quite a bit. And I think I kind of just got pressured by maybe by peers and stuff to keep him as high. But like I would, like even if he was like, whatever ranked on my board, I would have just gone to the next tier personally, because I don't view him as like a super high upside or anything like that too. He's a good like mid-range shot creator and stuff, but I just don't view him like that. So I kind of get why he drops, honestly, but.
Yeah.
He's not as flashy, but at the same time, like, there's lots of players who aren't flashy, right? But they're just solid players, and he's very much in that category. And especially there's this history of Kentucky guards and stuff that everyone's talking about. So,
Yeah.
I understand that. So I also liked the Sixers trading for DeAnthony Melton. I really liked that trade. That was another one I really liked. Blazers getting Sharp, I really liked. They also got Jabari Walker, which I really liked as well. He was like 30 something on my board, and they got him at 50 something. I really liked.
Right.
So there's honestly a lot of drafts that I really liked in the draft. I think so. Maybe might be a little bit more interesting to go through like are there any teams that you didn't really like what they did?
Do you want to start?
Nah.
I
'cause
guess I'll start.
I have more positives than negatives, honestly.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Same.
I mean, I have more positives and negatives too. I think I don't know what now we kind of know what the Knicks were doing, but I think it was very the least to say interesting what they did. So they traded a high. So I'll start off with this. I thought the Knicks, when I found out they traded the 11th pick, I was like, are we getting shy? And we didn't. But I was very confused on why they did it. I mean, I guess, like I said, like we know why now they did the clear cap and the get rid of Kemba, get rid of all that. But I feel like they didn't really need to get rid of the 11th pick for it, unless people really think Kemba's not like that good. But I guess it's just like Knicks don't really care, and they kind of just really wanted Jalen. Like they just didn't care about this year's draft. You said it before.
So it actually, so just to clarify, that trade you're talking about, they traded the 11th pick for the 3 OKC picks, and there's a separate deal with one of those OKC picks and Kemba going to Detroit for the pick 13 to get it from the Hornets, and then that's the pick that they traded for Durant.
Right.
So it's not even that they traded the pick 11 though. It's I guess they traded pick 13. I guess.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah.
They could have got somebody. They could have got somebody else next to RJ Barrett. Cause
I would have.
They're still struggling to find an identity, and to just get somebody like that can like do like something. You feel me?
Yeah,
Just like someone that has like, oh, they're a defender, they're a playmaker. Like just
dude,
someone who's
whenever I
like
think about the Knicks, man, I was saying this before though. Like I just feel like they lack like this level of like hope. I don't like. There's like when I look at their roster, I don't see like a lot of like high upside players or just like young projects or anything like that. And so like when I look at them, they have a lot like especially after free agency, they have a like just you know they have a pretty solid roster now. I actually kind of like the roster now, but like I like it very short term. And I don't really see like you know in the next 5 years, I don't really feel great about it
yeah,
at all.
they need a lot of like up and coming players, and they just decide to not
Yeah,
get that.
yeah, they have a really solid roster. Like no disrespect, like actually, I really honestly, the Knicks have this weird thing of like they do really well on some things in the off season, and there's other things where I just feel like their vision of this is just not big enough. Like because a lot of these teams that do really well, they had this like period of time where they just drafted, you know, these young guys, and then a couple of them pan out, and then that's when you know, capitalize and get people to pair along with them, even if they're not stars, right? Like you get Mikal Bridges, right? Booker obviously works out, but you know, you get Aiton, and that's the first overall pick, whatever. But like, you know, you have a foundation that you can bring people into, and then you know, then you get Jalen Brunson or whatever the equivalent of him would be in like 2 years. So I kind of think that the Knicks kind of lack that part of it, but I don't mind them. I like them trading the 11th pick, trading the 13th to and Jalen Duren to get to unload Kemba. Just I don't
That
know.
would, I feel like you could just waive Kemba like at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of ways you could just do that, and especially if they only had to trade. They traded Detroit 2 seconds to get rid of Noel and Burks too. So I feel like you could even throw Kemba into that, honestly, too, somehow, and just add like add forget the 2 seconds, just add one single first and get rid of all three of them, like that or something like that. But just get rid of 8 million on Kemba, just and there's only 1 year left. I don't know. I didn't like that a ton. Um,
Uh, Can I actually comment on that? So
yeah, go ahead.
so I think I said obviously episode 1. I said I told everyone like I was a Knicks fan, blah blah blah. I actually like now that I realized what we kind of did. I actually don't mind the draft.
I
I
liked
actually
it. I like overall
I
liked
don't
it.
mind the draft now because we kind of, I mean, obviously we got who we were supposed to get. Like, it's like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, we got Jalen Brunson. Oh my God, we got Mitchell Robinson. Like, we were getting them. Like, that's not, like, that
Well,
we
you
knew
needed the cap. You needed the cap though.
yeah, we needed the cap. And I think in the long run, like, Jalen Duren and, like, Mitchell Robinson as our two centers, I'm not saying we were going to draft Jalen Duren, but, let's say we draft Jalen Duren, right? We probably wouldn't bring back, or maybe we would bring back Mitchell Robinson. But like, why? Like, why would we
Right.
Why would we draft the center and then bring back Mitchell Robinson?
No, repeat that.
Mitchell Robinson.
No,
has
wait, J Floyd,
crazy upside.
Can you repeat that? You kind of cut off there.
Oh, sorry, my fault. So, like, what about the next the Jalen thing?
Yeah, about Jalen Duran to Mitchell Robinson. That's where
Okay,
you started
so
shooting around.
basically, my point is, if trading the pick makes sense, because if we trade the pick, or if we didn't trade the pick, let's say we draft Jalen Duren, so now we re-sign Mitchell Robinson. Oh wow, which we would have great center depth. Like that's good depth at center. But like, why though? Like we need the Knicks need so many different things that it's like,
Yeah,
why do we have
creating
deep
too.
centers? Like why would we pay 60 mil for a backup center or a
Yeah.
starting center? And we have Jalen Duren, who's like how much would he even make? I don't even know. But my point is like that would have been not good. It wouldn't have been bad, but it would have been like, what's the point? Like, are they going to get like the same amount of minutes, or is one going to start this game and then one start the other? Like, what about the other positions? Like, who's our
So
saying?
I think they would do that, but like even if they did, like it's fine, honestly. I think I said the other reason I don't mind them doing this is that the things that the Knicks needed, I just don't think this draft had, unless you really believe in some of these like upside guys, which I think I understand not betting on some of these guys. Like there was no like I feel like in other drafts there's been like more obvious players that you could pick at like 11, 12, 13, um, who have like the type of like on-block ration or things like that they kind of need. And I don't there's a lot of like very good high upside role players, but I don't see them being exactly what the Knicks needed. So I'm okay with them trading, especially like once you take into account the 11 for 3 picks and then trading one of those picks.
Right.
So they didn't want it, so like they didn't target anybody at 11. I totally understand that. And then getting 3, even though they're protected, pretty heavily protected picks, trading one of those um to get rid of Kemba and is I understand that overall. So I'm not really mad about that. I think the bigger issue with me is I don't like what the Hornets did there. Um, I just they didn't get enough value for trading pick 13 right there. I think because they pretty much chose Mark Williams over Jalen Duren is one thing. Because they had pick 13 and 15, and so they traded 13 away, for I think they got 2 seconds, I think, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
And then they chose Mark Williams, and the thing see, like, I like Mark Williams again. It's not about Mark Williams really. It's that when you have a team with like LaMelo, who's a 6'7" guard, you gotta to me it's like not every team can say that, right? Like you don't just like fall into Penny Hardaway, right? So when you do, I think that it's almost your obligation to build your team that leverages the strengths that you have. So when you have a 6'7" guard, I feel like you have to pick a center who's like more switchable and like builds like gets into that whole defensive identity and just like high tempo and things like that. And so I think I would have liked Jalen Duren more there than I would have liked Mark Williams specifically.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe if you ask the public about who they'd rather have, I don't know who they'd prefer between the two. I feel like universally, I think Duren was above, but I do think like Mark Williams is safer.
Yeah, they just needed the size because the whole like 6'7" to 6'9" center thing they had going on, they're just getting ran through. Like defensively, they weren't getting the stop.
Yeah, sure. And they got PJ Washington, they had Montrezl Harrell, and I totally understand wanting to get a center. That makes sense to me.
And at least that way you can get like PJ more on the perimeter defensively because he's a good defender.
Yeah, or just trade him, whatever you want to do. Like, yeah, whatever. But like, yeah, I totally agree with that. But I don't know, man. It just makes me feel like they didn't. They're just kind of just doing stuff. I don't know. I don't think they had a vision. They're not really trying to build around their good young players, right? Because you guys agree with what I'm saying with the LaMelo part.
Yeah, because it's hard. Yeah, no, I agree. It's hard to find a 6'7" point guard.
I'm in the middle point guard. Because you compared him to Penny, but Penny had Shaq.
No, he's saying like
I don't mean. Yeah, I'm saying like there's a reason why one penny happens, right? Like you don't have like Sean Livingston, you don't get a lot of like 6'7" point guards, right? Like just historically, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't mean like literally his situation or anything to do with the situation. I'm just saying like, if you look at just historically point guards, I think that I would say they're most of the time below 6'4" or whatever, and you can only that kind of dictates a little bit of how you play offensively and defensively, right? Because when you have a generally 2 small guards or whatever
you're more limited as a team. I get it.
Right, and not even to say like judgment on it of saying limited necessarily, but like you just kind of just smaller players have to play a certain way defensively, and they also you can't, like, for example, put Luka in the post. He's a 6'7" guard or whatever you want to call him, right? The way that they can play, right, where like you even go 5 out or something like that, right? Because of the fact that LaMelo's like an elite rebounder too. So like I just feel like that they're building their team kind of like I think a big pro of him being 6'7" would be like you could switch, right?
Yeah. All right. So question: at that point, who do you pick then for the Hornets?
Well, if they're so gung ho about a center, I would just keep the 13th pick, trade the 15th if they want.
So you're saying
Or
who would
actually even better, dude. The Cavs are behind them, and the Cavs I don't think we're gonna trade out of that. They already have all their centers. So fuck it, man. You could just trade 13 and keep 15, and probably still get Duren, unless somebody trades with the Cavs. Or unless you think someone's gonna trade for 13, which I understand. Like I'd say honestly, keep just the safest thing to do would just take Duren and trade 15, and I think people would want Mark Williams. And I think the value you get back there is it can't be any worse than what they got for the 13th pick, dude. Like they got nothing. I'm trying to look at exactly what they got for it. Um, it was like 2 seconds or something like that.
Yeah. I think it was 2 seconds. But
You
I
got
think
at least
that
got a
was
player.
like,
You got at least got to get a player for a lottery pick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like,
so I would, if I were the Hornets, I probably would have kept the 13. I probably would have taken Duran. I'm pretty high on him. Like, I feel like
who
if
would you
you're
prefer,
as
Duran
good,
or Williams?
I think I would have kept the 13th, took Duran, because I really like. I don't know what it is. I just really like him. Like Williams to 7-2, and that's a freak height. Like I'm not gonna lie, that's a freak height. But I don't think like his defense. I'm just super high on Duran. I think offensively, if he can just like grow, like continue to grow offensively, like with Cade, like I'm not saying Cade and LaMelo are the same player, right? I'm not saying that, but like I
No,
think
but that's a good
LaMelo.
comparison.
Same
That's a good
type of
comparison.
build.
Yeah. But I'm saying like just like offensively, they're good playmakers. I think Duran on like Pistons, Hornets, like both teams, like it really wouldn't matter which team he got drafted by. Like his offensive skill is gonna grow. So that's why on Hornets, I think I would have taken him. And what else did they have? What other pick did they have?
So just to be clear, sorry, just to
15, right?
clarify further, they traded so the pick the New York pick that they got from the Thunder, it's a protected Denver pick, and so they traded that plus 4 seconds for the 13th pick overall.
Right.
Uh,
So I would say
and it was the 2023 Denver pick, and so
Yeah.
I just think that they could have gotten like even like a future protected first, especially when you're not moving down in that draft. I just feel like you gotta like get another protected first, like to just trade entirely into the draft like that.
Right. So I would say I'd keep the 13 and keep the 15. Keep the 13,
Okay.
draft Duran, and at 15 I draft Eason.
Okay.
Because I think it's like what I said. They were lacking height, and I think a center at 6'11" and a like not a sharpshooter, but like I said, I think like at the very beginning of the podcast, somewhere around there, good shooter, like 6'8" defense you can experiment with, like 7'2" wingspan, like that's like I'm kind of annoyed the Knicks didn't draft him. Like I like him so much. Like I'm sorry,
Yeah, me
I
too.
love this. Like,
There was this is a
I
part of the
think-
draft where I didn't really like personally, but
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
I like so, but I would say, okay, hold on. So for a starting five for the Hornets, I'd love to see. I think they still have oh no, they have Rozier. What the hell am I talking about? So it'd be LaMelo Ball for me, or no, Rozier at point because he's smaller, just for context. Rozier, LaMelo, Eason, Bridges, and Duran. I'd love for that to be a starting five. I know it won't like be the
Like
starting
that's a
five.
high tempo ass team, dude. Like that's a
I
team that
know.
runs
That's-
is a defensive playmaking team, is switchable. Like they have wing size players
Yeah.
except for Rozier.
So
And
my-
they also have Book Knight. I don't know like what they're thinking
So my-
about him, but
Yeah. So my point is like they like to like LaMelo is a fast-paced player. Like we've seen it his whole life. High school. Look at Chino Hills' offense in high school. They just literally just ran. Like it was a track team. It was a track team that played basketball. And then like he's just been a fast-paced player his whole career. That would be the perfect team for your star player because he is your star player. And then you just build around your star player like you should. Like some teams kind of just don't, and they kind of ignore the fact that their star player is just like there. Like I
Yeah.
think that this is perfect. I think Duran and Eason as their two lottery picks would have been franchise changing, and I'm not gonna say. I was gonna say championship in 6 years, but I'm not gonna. No, I
It's
can't
hard.
do that.
It's hard to predict those.
yeah. So I also liked. I think like Malachi Branham, like I was saying with the Spurs, like he's like just a really high up shot creating upside, and he's like a bigger wing. And I think that would have fit well next to LaMelo as well.
Yes, yeah.
I liked Blake Wesley, but he might not be the perfect fit. I totally understand trading out of this because this is definitely the tier for me that I didn't feel like had a lot of value. I liked the tier above this, like and then I liked the tier below this, but I didn't really. I don't think I got a ton of value from like I wasn't really high on like AJ Griffin. Uh, I wasn't really high on Duran, but if you really want Duran, I wasn't really high on him. Johnny Davis, Branham, Wesley, Hardy, uh, Laravia. I really like Laravia. Like he's the guy I would have gone, but I would have tried to trade down or something like from him because and he's probably not perfect for them specifically. I think you got to be like a contending team. Like I think Laravia was like he's like my ideal guy if I had to pick for like a good team. But for the Hornets, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think they reach high enough, honestly. So we're so I just a couple, just to name a couple. So the Wizards, I didn't really like their draft. I don't know, Johnny Davis, man. Like especially like they were calling him like a point guard after the draft, or like yeah, he's our point guard of the future. He's gonna be next to Bradley Beal.
Oh hell no!
If you think he's gonna be a point guard, man, I don't think you understand what Johnny Davis is personally.
Hell
Like
no!
he's not a point guard. He's like Josh Hart or like he's like Dylan Brooks, that type of player. And so he's just not. His shot creation, I don't think, will translate super well. It will translate in
Yeah.
sense of like same way that Dylan Brooks' shot creation translates, where it's like a lot of it's gonna be like, did I really want him to shoot that? Okay, I guess it went in. Like I guess. And I think he'll be a good shooter though. Like, and you know, John Davis is a good defensive player too. Like, I think he's gonna be like a more of a shot creating 3-and-D type player, but his shot creation is super limited, I think. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. So
Yeah, I
I feel
mean,
like
I
it'd
just
be
don't like
solid
him
around
there.
there.
I don't like him there because I just think, like, especially the Wizards, man. Like, I don't know what their team is. Like, they constantly just draft these type of players where I'm just like, yeah, what are we doing here? Like, I just think they need to go for like higher upsides, right? Like.
You don't think he can play off ball next to Bailey and Porzingis?
No, he can. I think that's exactly what they're doing. But if they are gonna, it seems like they'd. So if they view him like that, then I'm okay with that. But I still think that they should have swung higher. It's not about what he's capable of. I think he's perfectly capable of doing like a lot of things. He's a really versatile player. I think he's a really good defensive player, and he's got good size, and I think he'll be a good shooter, and he's just a competitor and stuff. So I think he's a good player, but like he's a role player, and I think if you view him anything, he does not build as a role player. If that makes sense, guys. Like when people talk about him, they talk about him as like he's a shot creator primary, like the same way I was talking about like Malachi Branham or Blake Wesley or these guys who are guards. Like Johnny Davis is not. He's not a guard the same way that those guys are, but he kind of plays like in college he played like that. So like I think when people draft him, they I don't know
They
they
expect
might
him to
view him
grow. They expect him to grow into that point guard role because he kind of played in
right
college.
as like a primary baller, exactly, as like a primary, and he also does play like that. His style is very like he's also one of those like no eyes types of players. He's very shot creatory like um and I think if you're gonna view him like he played in college, I just think you don't understand what he is, and then therefore I don't really like that pick. And I think Johnny Davis would have been great on like a lot of the other teams, but for the Wizards, I want them to go for higher. Like Blake Wesley would have been a really cool pick there. Um, any of these other guys, man. Like I just like Wizards constantly keep making me feel like I just don't get it. Like I don't get what they want really, because
Wizards
like
are.
they're just gonna be spiraling the same place, man. I just don't, they're just a perennial lottery team, you know. And so like.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is like if you draft a role player knowing you have a role player, that's one thing. If if you draft like I don't know what you think Johnny Davis is, but if they miscast him, I don't know. He might get underrated really fast because like I know I'm kind of like being down on him, but I kind of liked him honestly. Like I would have been really high on him if you play him the right way, you know.
Yeah.
So
But a top 10 is so gross.
yeah, it depends what you think of all of the other players, because I understand going top 10, because again, like I was saying, I don't view like pretty much after like the top 3, I don't view there's not like any like stars here, right? So when you're picking, I understand that you're picking kind of your player more or less. So I don't I still would have swung for a little bit more for upside or I don't know. I would even honestly just trade that pick honestly, because I don't know, I don't really value it. So um
So
yeah, that's kind of just how I
alright.
felt about it.
All right, so your winners and losers. Your losers are the Hornets, the Wizards, and the Knicks. And your winners
Mm.
are the Rockets.
Spurs, Pistons, Rockets. I said Pelicans. I thought did really well. Sixers. I thought did well.
And the Spurs.
Yeah.
Spurs are pretty
Cavs. I was like
Mm.
okay with also.
Okay, cool. So, cool with leaving it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's fine with me. That was pretty good. 45 minutes. That's good.
All right. So, how about the free agent moves that happened in the last 2 days? We can talk about KD another time, but the big move today was Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves. That shit shocked the fuck out of me. I'm not going for it. I was not. I knew
Yeah.
I knew they were gonna move him, but I didn't expect the Timberwolves to eat his contract, or just to get him at all. Honestly, like what the fuck?
It's not an obvious destination.
Yeah. So your
Yeah.
thoughts on it?
So what? So
I-
if you guys had to get a player next to Cat, who like what's the? Either you can name a player or name like the role of like the four that you need to get next to Cat.
All right. Type
Assuming he's a center.
All right. If he's a center, you need like a scoring small forward / shooting guard next to him. I feel like.
So at the power forwards first, like so.
Oh, at power forward.
Yeah. Because I think that's the big thing, right? Because I think I'm assuming all three of us would agree Cat's a really amazing offensive player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you agree that the main concern there is just complementing him on defense, or no?
Yeah, I would say defense, and then maybe
Yeah.
someone who can like finish at the rim.
Okay, so like so pretty much like that kind of only sounds like an interior big, right? So if you even look like
Well-
what their most successful lineups this year was with Jared Vanderbilt at the four, who's pretty much like a non-shooting, rim rolling.
Big.
I mean, he's kind of like a 6'7" guy, and he kind of acts like the center in the same way like Bruce Brown did for the Nets in a way.
Right. So for me, I would say like a power forward with height, not like Gobert height, Jesus, but like 6'9", 6'10", like an athletic 6'9" defensive player. I know he's not 6'9", but I like Covington, which is kind of
Okay.
funny because
He's
Okay, no, I like that.
Covington.
So
But
any other who else? Would
Ben
you name?
like a Ben Simmons type next to him. Honestly, I think that would be
Okay.
good.
ooh,
Ben
yeah,
Simmons.
that's nice.
Who else?
Hold on, I gotta look through the players because I gotta like refresh my memory about
Yeah,
players. in the
so
league.
Honestly,
Ben
like
Simmons, I think they need. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say like Ben Simmons and kind of like maybe Tatum, or you just like have a
Someone a little bit
offensive
realistic.
mind. I mean like a scoring small forward. Like that's I don't know. That's small
So how
forwards,
about
that's
a
small forward.
non-top 15 player?
On top 15 player next to Cat. There's
Yeah,
350 options to choose from. Not too hard.
I think I really like Covington. I actually now that I say Covington's name out loud, I really like Covington.
They
Yeah,
had
so
they had
I like-
Covington. They had
Yeah,
Luka.
so I like Covington too. So the other thing, so the reason I probably wouldn't really like Ben Simmons perfectly because like, I think Cat's such a weird player because I don't. The big thing I think they require when you have Cat is that their rim protection is weak. When he's the drop big and even when he's like, I just think they also just need a weak side rotation guy. That'll help cover it. So even like Cat will end up blitzing pick and roll a lot. And so I think they just need like a smart weak side rotator that will help him let Cat recover back into the play, or they just need someone else, someone just a little bit of rim protection instincts even when he's dropping or something, and or crash the boards and stuff like that. Maybe even switchable. PJ Tucker would be something.
Dorian Finney-Smith, I think he would be solid.
Yeah, he's probably like that's actually one of those cases where I think he's good. He's such a good perimeter defender that I almost think it's a waste to put him next to Cat in a way. Like I don't want him playing the power forward with Cat because then you're kind of taking away a lot of things that he needs to do. Because I really want the rim protection part,
So
and I think you can kind of put together the perimeter defense. If I had to pick one of these things, obviously I would love Dorian Finney-Smith on the team, but I would like him as like the small forward, and I want to like the type of player I'm describing at power forward as well.
also Al Horford then.
Al Horford would be amazing. Al Horford is like the perfect man. I love it. I love Al Horford. I'll list a
Can
couple
you
players. So
imagine? Yeah.
I'm looking at the player rankings right now, right? So I'm looking at like power forwards. I'll probably mix it up with small forwards and centers. But Jeremy Grant would be interesting. I think he's not perfect either. Jaren
Nah.
Jackson would be beautiful.
Yeah, Jaren
Pascal
Jackson.
Siakam,
That would be nice. I
Maxi
like.
Kleber, Nicholas Batum would be one.
I don't agree with Nick Batum and Maxi Kleber.
No, okay. What do you think they lack?
I don't think
Like-
Batum is like. I just don't think he's like got the quickness. I feel like if you're playing with Cat and you're that power forward, you have to be almost like quick
It's not
because
even
he's not.
No, go.
Sorry,
my
go ahead.
fault. No, go. My fault.
He's just like I feel like you have to be a little bit like Batum's not slow, but I feel like you have to like kind of like in order to help Cat defensively, you almost have to be fast because it's like you said, you got to help from the corner sometimes because Cat's not.
Well, yeah,
That-
he's really long, and I think the 5-out stuff that the Clippers are doing is like if you saw how they're rotating, Nick Batum was actually like a very good weak side. Like I would love Nick Batum with Cat personally because he's got the size, length. I think he's got the speed for the 4 position specifically, and also he was like guarding Donovan Mitchell. He's honestly pretty quick. Like he's deceptively to me. I think I like it, but I understand what you mean. So
Like Nick Batum, like maybe Blazers days, I'll take him next to Cat. I don't think.
Oh
I'll take
yeah,
him because I
Sure.
feel like they
That's
only
different.
put him at center like out of like desperation in the playoffs.
but it works
specifically.
though. So
Yeah,
is it really
works.
desperate though? Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
actually like works positively, like really well, and he defends the 5 like surprisingly well. So
Yeah, but would you
and also
like
he's able to
prefer
switch on
that though?
perimeter.
Would you prefer that for like entire series?
No, but Cat's there, right? So like the Cat's the center, but like so he doesn't have to play center. He's not like banging down low, but he's there to rotate and stuff like that when he needs to, right?
Yeah, but
Oh
when
yeah. I see what you mean.
if he's starting when he'll have to play like 30+ minutes. I don't know. I feel like he's too old to try. Like I get what you're saying about the
sure.
size, the
No,
versatility.
yeah, I get it. Yeah. I also think depending on Nick Batum for 30 minutes to just hold Cat's hand is
It's hard.
it's difficult. I will admit that. Just a couple other ones, just briefly, like Jeff Green's kind of this type of player. I think a little bit.
Nope.
Larry
Nope.
Nance maybe.
Larry Nance, yeah. Jeff Green, no. Jeff Green is not a center. That has been proven time and time again.
Well, I'm not saying he's a center. I'm saying he's a power forward who can versatile enough to play on defense, and then but also rotate for him, just be a big body and stuff like that.
Like,
This is gonna sound kind of strange. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying there's too many playoff series where they tried that Jeff Green like at center, like it just doesn't work. Like he's a small forward, power forward who can he can give you offense on the corner 3. He'll attack the rim, but, like he'll play a little bit of defense. But, like that's it. Like for 30 minutes, he's not good enough to hold Cat's hand in that way.
Sure. Funny enough, Kyle Anderson, I think would be a great fit. Who
That's
they actually got.
Yeah, perfect.
Chris Boucher, Thad Young, I think would be good. And not all these guys are perfect, but I think that they fit this kind of category of player, right? So I think that we're not when we're describing that player, it's like not prioritizing the shooting necessarily, but I think the defense is the critical part, right? Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
I would say there's some situations where they don't even have to be like insane defensively, where they just gotta kind of like show, like they kind of just gotta be there.
Yeah, just smart. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and they have the size to intimidate as well. Like I'm just like, do I want to make this pass? To the roller who's wide open now
And
because
that's why I think. Yeah, and that's where I think there's other players that could come in that you can mention. Like I think, I'm gonna say this, but I don't know how you're gonna agree with me. I think Obi would be pretty good because his athletic prowess and like he's not 7 feet tall, but like I said, his just verticality, his physicals.
Sure, if Obi can step up on defense, he is similar to the type of player you'd want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You got he's got to step up a little bit more on defense. I don't think he's really proven that yet, but I think based on what I think of him, I think he's maybe capable of it. But I don't know if he could do this type of level thing, but especially with the fact that Vanderbilt was the primary power forward with them. which is pretty much a pseudo rim rolling center. Like Vanderbilt, Dwight Powell are they kind of function very similarly offensively. At least last year. I don't know about their overall skill sets, but you'd even see Vanderbilt screening and stuff. So I do think it makes sense to just put a straight up center, rim rolling center next to Cat. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm
Like
perfectly
a straight
fine
up
with that.
what? Sorry? A straight up what?
Like a straight up center, like we were talking about all these like kind of small ball center, mostly power forward type of players. Based on what we're describing Vanderbilt as, like I do think it makes sense to just put a straight up like rim rolling center next to Cat, like JaVale McGee, like any of these types of guys,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Like JaVale I think would make sense.
Yeah,
He's
like
a little bit more.
yeah, I think Nerlens Noel would be a great one of like because he's really switchable, super long.
He's
I
quick.
still remember Nerlens Noel is like one of the highest steal rate players of a center to ever play in the NBA.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so like that type of player, I think fits. So I understand the idea behind Rudy Gobert getting traded um, to the same team as Cat, because I think I obviously get like, in my center rankings, I have Gobert as 4th in a tier 2, and then I have Cat as 5th, tier 3. And so I think it is kind of jolting to see like those two players are on the same team. But I think it does make sense. I don't think it's like a ridiculously stupid thing to do, like just conceptually, right? So do you guys think it was just ridiculous?
No, for the Timberwolves, it was a good move. Actually no. The one thing I didn't like is that they got rid of Pat Bev because he's the one who kinda helped
Right.
grow your defensive identity.
Yeah, attitude wise and also just perimeter defense and stuff. I think he definitely played a role. Sure.
Because I
Especially
feel like if you
go
have
ahead.
Pat Bev, Gobert, Cat, I think you can beat like a team like the Grizzlies with that lineup. But with just Gobert and Cat, I don't trust that. I feel like they can still. I feel like the Grizzlies can still destroy them.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like
there's
if you have that lineup, you have at least like two elite defenders and like 3 like comparable ones with Ant and Cat or whoever they run at the small forward at that time. That's a solid
They
defensive
got
team.
McDaniels too. He's a really good defender. I like McDaniels a lot. I like the defense on the. Like I actually think if I gun to my head, I think I like the Wolves roster right now, especially considering Jaren Jackson's hurt, but maybe even not. I like them. I think better than the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I feel like there's something missing defensively from that type of team, and I think it is Beverly.
So wait, compared to the Grizzlies, I'm assuming you guys both like the Grizzlies over them.
Yeah, still to
Yeah.
this day, yeah.
Do you think it's close?
I
As
don't
of right
think it's
now,
close.
yeah,
Honestly,
the
I
Grizzlies are
don't
better.
think it's close. I feel
Okay.
like if you have like defense on the perimeter and in the paint, you like contextually speaking, you can stop Ja from being as great as he is because he doesn't have that mid range developed yet to kill you from. So
Yeah,
when he just
Rudy
drives to the rim,
Gobert, right?
yeah, he just drives to the rim like he can't score at will.
Right.
But with
And
just
he's like a
Gobert,
major rim deterrent for sure. Sorry, go ahead, Ice.
no, that's it. That's it.
I just want to add one more thing about the T-Wolves before we go on from them. So I don't know how many of you listening live remember about Anthony Edwards' comments about Rudy Gobert. He said, anytime I go against Porzingis, which, by the way, I feel like Porzingis would have been a better fit, I don't get no layups. I don't get why we couldn't finish on Rudy Gobert. He don't put no fear in my heart. I don't know why. Now, I'd like to imagine that hopefully no one in the T-Wolves locker room brings that up. Hopefully that they just forget that even happened or he ever said that. Hopefully Gobert didn't see it because I feel like that's going to be kind of like the question. Like people are going to talk about that all year. I feel like that's going to be.
I don't think it's going to be.
He
a thing.
definitely saw that. He definitely saw that.
I don't think he cares enough,
no,
honestly.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, hopefully, like
I
this is
agreed.
one of those things where it's like hanging over their head all year. Like, hopefully Anthony Edwards isn't like, dang, like we got Gobert, like that type of thing.
Nah, nah,
Hopefully.
nah, 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 nah. Like in sports, like you talk shit to your opponent, but like once on your team, once they're on your team, you gotta grow the
There's
fuck up.
lots of cases like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's just gonna
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
like
That's
affect them and be like a crazy detriment to them.
Yeah, so I think my major takeaway from this, and this is also we're kind of ignoring the asset play here because I think that's definitely an interesting conversation of what we think of this team together. I think is going to be pretty important to then relate back to like how important is it, and therefore how much do we give up for it. Just to put into context that the Timberwolves were like the what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
60.
They were the seventh best offense in the league, and generally speaking, the championship teams are going to be a top 10 offense and defense, generally speaking. And hopefully most of the time we'll be maybe elite at one of those two things. But it's possible to be like just like eighth at both. So the fact that the weak part um of the Wolves is going to be their defense for obvious reasons, like we've been talking about. And I do believe that, especially regular season, I do believe that Rudy Gobert just by himself, not even to mention the fact that they still do have like having two centers on the floor helps your defense generally, yeah, especially in the regular season of like you get a lot of defense rebounds, you have the size, people aren't going to
Mark
really
Brown.
attack. Yeah, and so you both, and Cat's not a great rim protector for a center, but he's not bad for a power forward. And so I do think that they're going to have like a top 10 defense, and if Finch has done a really good job making their offense pretty effective as well. And when you have Cat, you have Anthony Edwards, they still have D'Lo. So I think they have a really good chance to me at being a top 10 both offense and defense, which I don't, maybe Boston, Golden State, Phoenix could probably say that. Clippers is probably another one. Beyond that, and Dallas kind of played like that in the regular season or in the playoffs, but like it's difficult to get into that list. I think most other teams would be up there,
Yeah.
So no, go ahead.
And for me, for that to work, Cat has to like step like the fuck up on defense because
And offense, honestly.
yeah, he's gonna play off the ball more for sure with
Well, yeah, now, like, if he doesn't play elite offense at the 4, then I don't see why he's on the floor, honestly. Like, his elite offense is going to determine if he's, like, just a normal... Is he Bobby Portis or is he Cat, right? Because there's a fine line between the difference, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So, like... Because at the center position, him being as good as he was offensively is just a game changer. But at the power forward, you get to this place of, what is he doing exactly? Like, if he just shooting threes, like I could get another, Georges Niang can kind of do that, right? So we got to see how he's used on offense. He's clearly capable of doing a ton on offense. I think I like the idea of having protection next to you, but I also think it's a really interesting indictment on him generally is that, like, the reason I had him below Gobert is that I just didn't feel like he was like a center that you could play in the playoffs and have him as like your center because of how bad he was defensively. And then like he's amazing offensively, but I also think he just really needs a guy next to him who's really elite too. So if you're not capable of holding your own defensively, and then you're not Jokic on offense who's just carrying the team, then you can't be like above Rudy Gobert just because of the fact that Rudy Gobert can hold his own on one side of the floor, and he obviously is not going to be a main cog on the offensive end, but he does what he does well, and then he like game changer on defense, and I think he can be a really good defensive center in the playoffs, despite maybe narratives around that, so I think it says a lot that like just Cat was such a bad center that they needed to really get rim protection next to him because that just says a lot about like him as a center. I think, right? What do you guys think about that?
I don't think that's an indictment on him. I think they just really need they just really need help. Now they just need like good defensive minutes when he's not on the floor. But back to your point, like the whole Bobby Portis the Cat thing. Yeah, I don't want him to end up like KP on the Mavericks, where he's just
Kevin Love.
or Kevin Love or Chris Bosh type.
Exactly.
Like,
Good-
you are too great to play into that role. You have to be aggressive. The thing with him is like why everybody like calls him a bitch on Twitter. Like he's inconsistent with his attitude and how he plays. Like I don't want to say he's emotional, but like he teeters like up and down
You
like
can
all
say he's
the time.
emotional. I think he's emotional.
I mean, you can say a lot of players are emotional though. So like,
Well, the way he's emotional is
Yeah.
a little weird too, because he's also the type to say he's not emotional. Like
Yeah.
he's the type to be like, no, bro, I don't even care, man. It's just a game, like whatever. But like in his head, like he'll go out of his way to say like, bro, I don't even care, man. Like I'm the type, Kobe's my idol, right? He's that type, right?
for me,
He's
Yeah.
gonna,
like if I'm Cat, right, you gotta like be so you gotta be arrogant. You gotta be arrogant within yourself and your abilities, right? You're one of the best offensive centers of all time. You got one of the baddest bitches on the motherfucking planet. You have to you don't have to prove nothing to nobody. You're great as you are already. All you gotta do is just I don't know, be aggressive, get shit off the glass, get you an easy 20. Cause like most centers cannot guard him. Most players cannot guard him. He is
Yeah.
he's a literal like center forward mismatch. I
so
got
that's the thing though. That's the thing though, because like he's a massive center mismatch. As a power forward, I think Thad Young can hold him. And like maybe not like outright, but like he has a much better chance than any center would. Is the point, I guess. So his day-to-day ease of scoring is gonna change, I think, because he's not the type to really use his height too. He could play in the post and all this stuff, too, but he's not like a enforcing type of player. So he's not gonna like Zion would be a much better. He'd do much better against Thad Young than Cat would to me. Like just of like if you had to post one up or just attack one or whatever.
yeah, cause like
Um,
if he's at the forward, like he's kind of like easier to hide and like kind of like easy to forget about because you already got like the rolling center and Gobert at that point.
Yeah, and if Gobert's not screening, then what is he doing? Is another question. And this is the same. Like this is the thing I also hate about some of these shooting centers. Well, not the shooting centers themselves, but a lot of teams take that as a license to like put Jared Vanderbilt next to them, which I understand why one would do that. Of like you need because my center can shoot, I have a rolling. I can put Bruce Brown there. But why not just fucking have a shooting power forward, right? Like the only thing better than 4 shooters is 5 shooters, right? So like you can always have like you could still run KP as a screener and a roller, right? But you could also have him spotting up, and it's you don't have to put you don't have to put Dwight Powell next to them, right? You could literally have just a 5-out offense, and those are so difficult to defend. So like it really is in the best interest of the team to just have shooting there. So because otherwise you get into the question of if I want to have Cat involved in the offense, like a simple spread pick and roll, right? Where's Rudy gonna be? Is he gonna be dunker spot? Which there's lots of success with that too. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Rob Williams is doing that very successfully. Nothing wrong with that. But they just gotta figure all that shit out, right? A lot of it's gonna be on Cat. And he's gonna have to force his way into the offense, like right, like you just said, don't don't let yourself get forgotten because it's easy in this case, right?
Yeah, I think it's fucked up to think that I think that Cat is the third option right now on the or the third best player on that team right now. Just because
Yeah,
like he doesn't have like that definitive role of what he wants to be yet. Like once he figures that out and he decides, oh, I'm the best player or the second best player on the team, then I think this team can go far. Like they can be a top 4 seed. They can make a run, like a decent run in the playoffs. Like right now, they have way too many questions for them to like be taken seriously as a contender in the West.
yeah. The good news is that a lot of other teams do too, and that's probably a big reason why they even made this move. Because a lot of these teams are, Aiden's about to leave, or maybe isn't. Lakers are weak. The Clippers, man, we could talk about them another time. But like, I love the way the Clippers looking right now, bro.
I love
Um,
that. No, we can talk about them right now. Shit, I love that John Wall pickup, bro.
yeah, I think that there's so much to them that I think it's just probably worth separating for another of maybe like contenders when we're predicting stuff. So I probably want to just separate that out and just finish up this the Gobert talk. We talk about the rest of the offseason in another episode too. But yeah, like the cat thing, man. Like, uh, I hope I just hope he doesn't get forgotten, man. Like I just don't. because like you were saying, like I already before this trade, I felt like the team is as good offensively. Like Cat is definitely a driving force behind that, but the main person who's going to determine that is going to be the guards, and that's just like the nature of the game a lot of times. So and also just generally, I like Ant Edwards a little bit more as an like overall player than Cat, I think. Uh, and so I already felt like that, but and now if you're telling me like defensively, it's clearly Gobert is like the biggest difference maker for any team he's on. And so just by default right there, yeah, I think it's really fair to say that Cats probably might be the third most important player on this team in terms of like their overall success offensively and defensively. So Jayla, what do you think?
Uh, I don't know, man.
Most
This is for
important
the
compared to
Clippers.
best also.
This is for the Clippers, right?
No, for the
The Timberwolves.
for the Wolves, man.
Oh, I hear Clippers. Okay. Timberwolves. I mean, like, I would love to see. I think I gotta blame the front office because I feel like them getting Gobert, like, yeah, Cat doesn't really know what his role is, but I feel like that's kind of like on them for getting Gobert because now it's like Cat can only do so much, and then Gobert kind of shrinks the floor a little bit. Like, let's put Gobert in the block. Okay, so make it obvious that Cat's gonna pop or take, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, they
Well,
kind of
I
just
think it's a little bit of chicken and the egg thing, right? Because like I would argue, I disagree with that for the reason of I think it's just definitive at this point. Like I just don't think Cat's a playoff defensive player, and I don't think he's a regular season
oh
defensive
yeah,
player. So then,
but
if you
no,
tell me that as a starter, right? What are my options? I gotta get rid of Cat because like that's a big deal. If your center can't play defense, you can't compete. And that
right,
which is why a lot of times center's only job is to play defense in a lot of these cases, right? You don't really need anything crazy offensively because you generally need players to get to the paint, so center can just roll and then play defense, and that's good enough in a lot of cases. But if you tell me Cat can't do that, then I understand the idea of like putting, I don't really think that's on the front office. I totally understand their reaction to doing this because their defense was poor last year, and especially their rim, defending the rim was bad. And I totally
yeah,
understand that. If you don't get rid of Cat, then I don't know if going for Gobert is there's probably a intermediate in the middle, uh, of maybe just a different, like Walker Kessler is who they drafted. I understand. You could clearly tell that they had this thing in mind, right? Where it's like they just don't believe in him defensively. And if you don't believe in your center defensively, you just don't believe in him as like he's got to straight up move positions, right? And
right.
so I don't think
I
it's
think
his.
I
I don't
agree.
think it's his issue with the role, honestly.
I think the reason why my issue, I think the reason for me there's an issue, like with the like role and like what the front office did is because it's like I don't like. Do you think I? I just don't like it. I don't like the whole like shrink the floor. Like I feel like they just kind of cut off some of Cat's ability offensively.
I think Rudy Gobert's
Yes,
gonna
And
take middies
I
this year.
know,
I think like he's gonna. I
yeah,
think he's
no,
gonna. I think he's gonna grow his game a little bit to make that work. I don't think he's
yeah.
just gonna
uh,
have like
yeah,
no
within
touch.
reason.
Yeah.
He kind of
Yeah, I don't
has.
know.
I don't know. I
I
feel
don't
like
think he has to. I don't think he has to. I honestly don't think it's gonna be much different than what he's been doing, honestly. But like maybe more playmaking. Because
right.
like I even think like a 4-5 pick and roll would be interesting. Because like I don't think most fours are gonna be like, what do you do with that, right? And even just getting the 4-5 switch would be interesting too. So depending on who the 4-5s are. So I find it. I think they're interesting personally, but like so I think the next question would be like, now we've kind of established the fit's it's interesting. I understand it, right? Now what they gave up for him, do you guys think that was worth it? Ice has already said like the Pat Bev loss. I agree that's I think that he was important emotionally and also like on the floor as well. So what do you think about that? What do you guys think?
I'm not gonna say the Jazz. The Jazz. I'm not gonna say this is easy to be an even trade, or that the Jazz got fleeced. But it's like, are they rebuilding now? Is that their thing? They're just rebuilding now, or are they just building? Are they just trying to make Donovan Mitchell happy and then trying to re-sign him and then try to make another team around him?
I think this
Uh,
is. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, you go. Go.
I think so. With the amount of picks they got, I'd like to assume this is a rebuild, but I I wouldn't be. I would actually be very happy if I'd be very okay with them trading those picks for a player. I'm not saying like, oh, trade all those picks for Durant because I don't think that's going to happen. But I would like to see. I would like to. See, I like Aiden. I feel like if they got Aiden, I feel like that'd be pretty dope.
That'd
I
be
don't
amazing.
know. Yeah, that'd be amazing. But I feel like this is a rebuild, unless they
It might
move
end
the.
up as a rebuild, but I don't think it has to be immediately.
I think right now it's kind of similar to like Dame's situation right now. Like you have one good star player, and then you have like a whole bunch of like just new dudes that are trying to surround them. I mean, Portland is better than the Jazz right now, I think. But like there's just
Yeah,
so
I mean,
there's so
oh
much
yeah,
question. There's so like how do you win with that lineup? What is it? Just
Well, yeah, with their current lineup, they're not gonna win. But like, they need a center. They definitely need to get some players around them. So I'm not really worried about their exact roster right now. And I think it's probably not even worth talking about the Jazz in terms of specifics exactly because we just don't know, right? Like if their roster is gonna be what it is now, then that's not good enough. But I do think Conley, Mitchell, and Boyan as a starting point, and then you also get Pat Bev, who you can flip for something. You get the 5 picks. Well, 4 picks plus a swap. 3 of them are unprotected. Massive. I think it's a really, really, really strong bet that the Wolves are going to be awful in the next, 7 years. Like I would 100% bet against that. Even if I think it's a good team now, I think that team's too emotionally unstable, and they've now just like they don't have a lot of ways of getting better, and so I love that bet. They also got a swap out of that. Like I think that was I think no matter what, that's amazing value for Gobert. And I would definitely say this is a really I almost want to say like that's a little bit too much. Like I love Gobert, but man, that's a lot. And exactly what it's interesting that the Wolves felt like this was the move because you could clearly tell just like this is a clear like all in move, right? This is a we think
yeah,
Gobert is that player that takes us to the next level, right? And
that's
so
what it looks like.
yeah, I mean that's all it can be, right? Because
Yeah,
who gives up this much if you don't believe in the player like that, right? You got to believe in the player plus the fit with on your team, right? And especially the two centers thing and stuff. So like, they believe in this, and so I guess I think time will tell if they should. And my guess would be that probably this is not going to work out, truthfully. But I also it's not even saying anything negative about Gobert. I just think it's just it's I think this is a home run for the Jazz personally. Um, I understand them trying to start over and stuff, and they have enough stuff where, like, look at all the things you can get for even 2 second round pick, 2 first round picks, you know, on any of these picks. Honestly, I totally think they could rebuild. They flipped Royce O'Neal. They got rid of all their salary. A lot of their long term salary is now gone, so they have a surprising amount of cap room next year. So if they
right.
make a move this year, I'm interested in the Jazz. If they don't, then I still think it was a good move. Honestly, the Wolves. If I was, I think I as the Wolves would not have done this. Jazz, I'd run. I take this and run away. Uh, but I also understand. I don't know if they need. The other thing is the Wolves. I think could have gone for the same concept and maybe cut down on exactly who it was exactly. Like, I don't know, whoever the next best rim protector is. You
Mitch,
know.
Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah,
That's a great one, Ice. No, that's
yeah.
seriously, that's a great one. Or even like Miles Turner.
Miles Turner is
Uh,
just that would be
Miles
dope. That would be
Turner,
dope.
I think
yeah,
Miles
like
Turner shooting.
just the amount,
Oh,
yeah, the amount of stuff. So like, first of all, none of these guys are quite as good as Gobert, but I do think that the marginal difference is probably gonna be worth the difference in assets and just the maybe the offensive stuff that you might gain. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of players, right? Like, Miles Turner would be one. Clint Capella.
yeah. I think I like Mitchell and Capella, or not Capella. I think I like Mitchell and Turner more because they're height.
Yeah, Noel Robinson.
But yeah. I
Uh.
think I prefer height, realistically.
I also
But
think
like,
I don't. Do you guys think this is the type of thing where maybe you try it, you experiment with this first, like on a smaller level before you just invest to this level? Like
I think
just
they did that already.
With who?
Jared Vanderbilt, or yeah, or just
Yeah, but like this is like a real center though. I mean, that actually no, that's a good point. Of like, but do you think maybe like fuck it, let's get Daniel Gafford and just see how it works, right? And then like, okay, it worked. Like, let's go for Rudy Gobert. He's like a level up, right? Or something like that. You think?
nah. I think you got to go for it. Honestly, like you get a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, even though I personally don't think he's like that defensively. Like you got a definitive rim protector, and that's a weakness you had. You fixed it immediately. Now you just have to find a way to work out like the kinks around it offensively and defensively.
Yeah. Like Hassan Whiteside's a free agent right now. Still hasn't been signed.
I mean, that's for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. That's
It
true.
is. It is. But like, it, I, maybe I don't know. So I agree that I think they could have given like 2 firsts and got Miles Turner or something like that. 2 firsts and like Pat Bev. I think that would have gotten it done.
I don't think the Pacers are getting rid of Miles Turner, but that's just me though.
That might be fair. I probably whenever they do, I think they would take that. Because I think that's been something like that has been the sticking point of maybe people haven't wanted to go that far or something. But the point is that you can get a fucking lot for 5, 4 firsts, a 1 swap, and then Pat Bev, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. Man, that you could get a lot of shit for that.
Shit, they could have got KD. What the fuck? 5? They got 5.
Maybe
Well,
not. Maybe not KD.
okay.
But damn, bro, you can get a lot.
Yeah,
You could have got. They could have got 5. Yeah. What? Yeah. Rudy Gobert. Actually, no. 5 first-round picks.
Like even half of that for Miles Turner, even if you don't say 2, like right, like you know what I mean, like. So that's the part where I like this is a really long, especially some of these. It's 2023, 2025, a swap in 2026, 2027, and then 2029, bro. This is like future fuck. Like,
It's
this
the-
is
It's the fact
this
that
is everything.
the picks are unprotected too.
Yeah, and everything 2025 through 2027, 2029, all unprotected. And 2023 is only top 5 protected. So that's, for argument's sake, they're all unprotected for the most part, honestly. So, like,
Right.
I part of me thinks that they could have gotten like a half measure here, if that makes sense.
No.
And maybe saved some of these assets to really swing at something. If they're willing to do this for Rudy Gobert, I feel like they could have swung like as hard, like, because I think a lot of the thing is like, who am I willing to just give up my entire war chest for? I think is a big thing for teams, right? Like, Jimmy Butler is available, Kawhi is available. Am I, as the Celtics, I have all these picks. Do I just swing for Jimmy Butler? Do I, Paul George, all these guys come available, right? And deciding who to swing
Yeah.
for. So I think that they could have maybe even swung for like a wing or something. And then done like a half swing for like a center if they really identified the rim protection as the crux of their issues, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it was a lot. At the same time, I understand the idea behind it, and I really like, especially I think we've seen it from like I don't know, even Cleveland, Boston. You can play like this, right? Like the Twin Towers thing works. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worked before.
Yeah, historically.
I mean,
Yeah, Horford, Williams, like Tice, even like there's a lot of and I've Porzingis and Powell, Leba, like there's a lot of evidence to say that it works, and I've always said this, that I like these 2 big lineups, but like this is a lot, right? And this is a real
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, like
Like they gotta
It's gonna
make. They
come
have to
down-
make it at least. They have to at least make one Western Conference Finals within the next 3 years for them for it to be worth it. Within the next 3 years, has to.
So where do you guys rank them now?
I think
ooh,
they're like 4 to 5th.
So I'm gonna say 5th, but I think they lose. Depending who they play against, they lose first round because
I'm holding you guys to the fire, bro. So we got the Suns, the Grizzlies, the Warriors, Mavs, Nuggets, Pelicans, Clippers. So tell me where they fit.
Nah,
So
I
the better
can't,
the
I can't do
Suns.
that. I can't do that yet. The
No, roughly tier. You got it. No.
free
We gotta
agency
do
isn't
this,
over.
bro.
Free agency isn't over yet. You feel me? Like
You
a
know what?
lot of shit can
Well-
change. Like another blockbuster move can happen, and then like the
Sure,
Suns
then,
get
but
KD
then our
or some
opinions
shit.
can change, though, right?
So, okay. So if you're holding my feet to the fire and you're saying where they land in what The off
West.
postseason?
So let's go one by one. So are they better than the Suns?
No.
No,
Are they better than the Grizzlies?
No.
no,
And you could say maybe, and that's the point of this, right? So Warriors,
Fuck no.
no.
Mavericks.
Yes.
You're better than the Mavericks.
I think they're in that tier personally. Especially, I think the Mavericks would be slightly worse. I think they overteamed a little bit, but I think they're a good team though. I think they're in that tier.
I think
Um,
yeah, I think they're better than the Mavericks. No. I think they're better than the Mavericks, but they're in the same tier. If that makes sense.
I think the Mavs are overrated, but that's another topic.
Yeah,
over
and
there.
I actually I
That's-
think
yeah.
that's super fair. I think that's super. The other thing about the Wolves now is that they have a really unique thing to them, right? Like, there's not a lot of teams that could say that they have like a straight up center who's like a really dominant offensive player who's like their power forward, right? So it's like as a player trying to defending them, like right, like you gotta have you can't just throw Cam Johnson on Cat, right? You gotta actually like think about that, right? Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to put.
So even if they're worse than a team, so let's even say if someone said the Mavericks were worse, the fact that Cat's on, Bullock or Finney Smith or somebody, or Luca or somebody got a guard, Cat is interesting, right? So even if you did believe that so it could be like a one case where like the mismatch makes it so that, and also the other thing is a Cat can always go just, Rudy Gobert gets up, sits for a little bit, and, they have this like all offense type of lineup or something as well, where Cat goes back to the center and they put like McDaniel's down, and they have Torian Prince, they have Kyle Anderson.
You got 5 outlet in, like that could work like beautifully, and you still got D'Angelo Russell that can help them out a little bit.
Yeah, the other thing about this is that I really liked the Kyle Anderson thing until this, and now I'm like, I don't really want Kyle Anderson to be the 3. And same thing with Torian Prince actually. Like I wanted them to be like more like the 4 or occasional 3s,
But now they have lineup versatility. That's the thing that's huge.
Yeah, they can move. Yeah, for sure. But like, I also don't like that their 4-5 versatility is limited in the sense that you're pretty much gonna have to play Cat and Gobert as much as you can, right? So if you end up not playing one of them because you have versatile lineups of being able to play your 3s as 4s, then I think it almost defeats the purpose of this, right? If one of those guys isn't playing.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I'm like, that is very good situational versatility though. Like I like that they could have those guys. I'm a big Kyle Anderson fan, and he can play the 3, but like their shooting is gonna be weak, which I don't know, man. I like Cat's an amazing 3-point shooter. I would prefer if he wasn't like just the clear cut, outright best one, So
yeah. I think Kyle Anderson's probably gonna have to come off the bench.
100%, 100%. McDaniel's is starting.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah.
It's gonna be D'Angelo Edwards, and then McDaniel's.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But he'll probably come off the bench as the 4. At the 3, like I feel like if they sub in Anderson like first, like let's say they have Anderson first off the bench, and it's for like McDaniel's, that may kind of make me cringe a little.
It's fine. It's fine, but I don't feel amazing about it. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
Right.
My point is like you can like Anderson should come in for like one of the centers.
You would hope.
Or what? I don't want to say
Agreed.
centers.
No, I agree. Well, ideally he comes in for Gobert in the first stint or something.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, he'd sub in for Gobert,
Or
and
something.
then he sub. So like this is what I think. He'd sub in for Gobert, and then like Gobert would sub in for like Cat or something like that.
Exactly. So you have like this 3-man big rotation thing, right? And
Yeah.
and I agree with that. So to keep going down this list, right? So the Nuggets.
I think they're better than the Nuggets, but we're like this is because we're not sure about the Nuggets. That's not like an indictment. That's
So
not
Nuggets
saying.
at-
That's not saying.
Yeah, right.
Oh, the Timberwolves are so much better than the Nuggets. Like we don't know what the fuck the
I think
Nuggets
they're in
are.
that same tier. Yeah, I agree with
That
you.
would be. Yeah,
My
I
thing-
think the Nuggets are better than the T-Wolves.
Me
But-
too. I think I'd
But
go with Nuggets.
But I could see the T-Wolves. Beating the Nuggets in like a 7-game series.
100%. Like, and that's why I'd say that they're the same tier of
Yeah.
Like Ice just said, the uncertainty behind the Nuggets is probably the
Humongous.
biggest thing here. If we knew a little bit more about exactly, dude, the DeAndre Jordan thing, man. I I'm not gonna get over that this whole year, man. That's all I want to see. If the
DeAndre
Nuggets are
Jordan?
on, yeah, he's on the Nuggets.
Really?
He was their first signing, bro. Like free agency
Yeah.
starts and they sign him, and dude, I just couldn't.
What?
I just bring back Boogie, bro. Why? DeAndre Jordan is the most useless player in the whole NBA. All due respect, bro. Like it's over, man.
Didn't
I know
do.
DeAndre's an avid listener of the 5x5, but
Wait, they didn't re-sign DeMarcus. What the fuck?
not yet. They might, but like if he's their backup center and he's getting like 10 minutes a game, like in real games,
Yeah, that's so bad.
that is
I-
that is it for them, bro.
Did Denver not-
That is criminal. There are so many better centers for the minimum you can get. I will fucking list them right now.
Dude,
Let's
I'll be honest. Can I be honest for a second? If Hartenstein signed with the Nuggets, I feel like that would
He's
have
a
been
former
like
Nugget, too.
shit.
He's a
No,
former
I feel like that would have been fucking
yeah,
great.
Serge
I would've-
Ibaka,
yeah,
like
that's the one. Yeah.
Kem Birch, Plumlee, Muscala, Robin Lopez, Hassan Whiteside, uh, bro. Honestly, anybody, bro. Like DeAndre Jordan is both a bad drop defender, bad switch defender, bad offensive player, bad defensive player. Like what? Like dude, that dude is he looks like he's like if a crypt was a person, dude.
Sure.
It hurts me watching his joints move, and I just don't. I cannot believe that he's also just outright just not a good fit for like. I don't know what he's supposed to do, bro. I don't know. Like, I hated that. So that really has me shook, honestly. And I'm
Yeah.
probably letting that affect me a little too much.
All right.
But I'd say the Nuggets, if they reach like their 80th percentile outcome, I think they're better than them.
All right. So the rest of the teams, list them out.
So Pelicans, I think that one's
Better.
interesting.
I think they're better because they have questions too, but I think the Timberwolves are better than Pelicans.
It sucks because I don't really question the Gobert Cat part for a lot of this stuff. It's actually honestly like the D'Lo Ants. It's just a lot on them, and then it's a lot to be like the full engine to like an offense. So I think, dude, I really like the Pelicans, man. I think
Yeah.
They're
think
like
they're
they're
playoff
young and fun, but like
no,
yeah.
dude, I think I like them more than that.
I get like they have the whole upside thing going for them, but like they're not.
No, dude, I don't even think they have upside, dude. I think they're like just good.
I don't
like-
think that at all. Like they
Like their roster, dude. Like so they got
Yeah.
CJ, that's a great
their
player,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, the roster is good, but it's like they weren't even like supposed to make the playoffs. You feel like they
Yeah,
barely.
but no. Last year, you're talking about last year, bro. They're a whole new animal this year, bro.
Yeah, they got Dyson Daniels. They got CJ. Yeah,
This guy Zion, this random guy named Zion.
True,
they had him before. Trey Murphy. Brandon Ingram's grown into his own. Like he may change from underrated to just rated at that point. Like he's growing into like their star.
EJ Liddell.
I have no
I don't
idea
know,
who
you
that
probably
is.
don't know. You don't know who that
no,
is yet. He's like a power. It's not important. But like, hold on. I'm looking at their team right now. I'm kind of scared to put them over the Wolves, but man, bro, I think they're. I liked them a lot last year, and I also just believe in Zion that level. Like, I think Zion's like a top 10 player for me if he's healthy.
That's a big question. So therefore, Timberwolves over them. I don't think the Timberwolves are better than the Clippers.
Yeah, no, hell no. I don't think
No.
anybody's. I don't think anybody's better
It's
than
tough.
them.
It's tough for the Clippers because we'll have to see how good John Wall is.
No,
I think
I don't
John
even
Wall
honestly,
can
nah.
be
They
fine.
just
He's extra. He's extra, bro. Have you seen
Bro,
their?
I'm saying like, because a lot of people have like those like people have expectations for him and like.
Not
but, like,
really.
Nah, bro. His expectations
You
for
know,
me
I'm saying,
personally
like-
is just 6 assists and 1 steal, and that's a successful comeback season for him. That's all I need from
Bro,
him.
mine's even.
I wouldn't even say that.
Mine's just do your best. Like I
Yeah.
really don't. I have zero expectations, and they're in a position where they really don't need anything from him. This is a pure upside thing, right?
Yeah.
They were perfect.
I-
I would pick them for the championship favorites before this. I would still pick it after. It has nothing to do with John Wall, right?
Yeah, they're
And
just
I
that
do agree
fucking
that
good.
he adds a dimension. I agree he adds something there, right? But like even if he plays well and then gets injured or something, he's not there. Doesn't change anything. I think really. I think he adds something, but I still think they're just such a good team. Yeah, CJ, Jonas, Brandon Ingram, Zion, Larry Nance, Trey Murphy, Herb, Alvarado, Daniels. Man, dude, I'm into this team, bro. I'm into it.
But no, they're not.
Uh,
They're not definitive. They haven't proven anything. Like at least, yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that for sure.
All right, so
Lakers.
that's another question mark team. They're better than them right now. There's
Oh,
so many.
man.
The free agency isn't over. There's so much shit that can happen.
I think, yeah, I think the Timberwolves match up really well against the Lakers.
Yeah, because like LeBron needs the paint to be effective. Oh, he doesn't
Yeah,
need
exactly.
He doesn't need the paint to
Exactly.
be effective, but he's.
It's a big
Give-
part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a big part of
Yeah.
it, and AD too.
I would-
like,
I would
And
say
Russ-
I'd say give me a couple games on the
And-
Lakers.
and Cat's at the power forward too.
Yeah.
And the Lakers can't guard nobody right now.
Yeah, and dude, the Lakers are just a tragedy about how little they have to do anything.
Yeah. Oh, dude, give me a couple games though, because I want to see what they do with Westbrook. I want to see Darwin Ham's idea
Yeah.
for Westbrook.
And the other thing is, I don't want to hear anything about this. Like, they gave it all away for AD, dude. There's a whole fucking league of teams that have given everything away for player X. Look at the Lakers.
Yeah.
Look at them. Look
Look
at the
at the Nets.
Clipper, yeah, exactly. Like they found exactly. They used their swaps. They find players. The Lakers instead just like the Westbrook trade. The thing that bothered me about it last year is that they traded the 20 whatever pick along with all their role players just together for Westbrook, and the 23rd pick would have really helped them last year, and they really needed that type of thing. And I don't know. It's just I don't mind the Westbrook addition last year, but it's the KCP plus Kuzma plus all these other stuff plus the pick. It's like, dude, that's like everything, bro. Again.
And Caruso, that was a
Yeah,
lesson.
and just letting Caruso walk. Yeah, so like that's if you want an exhibition on how to just fuck up a team, bro. Like that's it.
Hey,
And this is a whole ass championship team the year before. They trade for They trade a first for Dennis Schroeder. Then they just let Dennis Schroeder walk. Then they get Montrezl Harrell, let him go. They man, it's just
Yeah.
they just need something, right? They just let all these players go, and now they have like a whole cap space full of 3 players, and then they got all the, you're depending on Austin Reeves working out, which is, he worked out fine, but like him being your 4th best player isn't really saying a lot, right? They also they lost Malik Monk again, right? So they're constantly in this perpetual thing of like we have nothing to do anything with. So this is a whole separate thing, but so man, literally has nothing to do with Lakers. I just believe in LeBron to that level to which, oh man, I think if a gun to my head, I think the Bulls are better than them. But like I have this like LeBron deference tax that I have to pay a little bit, I think the Blazers are interesting. I think they're probably worse than the Wolves, but I think they're interesting.
Yeah, no, they're worse than the Wolves. The Wolves are better than the Kings. They're better than Thunder. They're better than the Rockets.
Spurs.
They're better than the Spurs. All right, so through everybody's answer, we definitively said that they're like a 4 to 7 seed.
Yeah.
I think it's wider than that. I think it's like 4 to like 10.
Yeah. I would say 4-7.
4 or 8 maybe. So
4-8.
So the tier that they're in, that we're gonna agree that we're gonna say. It also may depend on what the Jazz do too. We don't even know. But like,
they're not doing nothing. I'm assuming they're
yeah,
not
I doubt. Yeah, I doubt. And even
Yeah.
the things that they can do, I don't think would be enough. If they got
You
8,
think
if they got 8, I'd think twice though. So
What do you
Nuggets,
think?
Bulls, for me, I'm putting the Grizzlies there, but I understand why you wouldn't. Pelicans are the low end of that, so I think there's probably, and then the Mavs, right? So those are the teams that are in. So we have Suns, Warriors definitively above them, Clippers definitively above them, right? Would you go
Yeah.
agree with that?
Mhm.
So between the Mavs, the Nuggets, the Wolves,
The Grizzlies.
and the Grizzlies, I think they could easily be, and then I think the Pelicans. That's 5 teams, man. Like, so they to me they could easily be anywhere from like 4 to
Take
8 or 9 even. Like I could see one of these, like the Lakers. You never know. I think there's not in the tier quite, but like, they got LeBron, man. So
Can't
I mean,
count.
yeah, I mean, honestly, like that's the thing. Is like teams that have like Braun, Giannis, KD, like those type of players, they're always going to be in the playoffs. Maybe, well, maybe not Braun now, but like younger Braun. But
yeah, so it's interesting. We'll see what happens. I do think Rudy makes them a better regular season team for sure. Which is half the battle here, right? Like just getting the right matchup, right? Getting, if they can somehow, and I don't think it's impossible by any means. If they could get like the 3 seed, that's gonna go a really long way for them. And I don't see why they couldn't, right? They could be like the Grizzlies of last year. Like I do think that the Suns and Warriors are better than them, but like I could solely see the Warriors being the 6th seed or whatever, and then that will make a big
yeah,
difference.
I think the Warriors. Yeah, that's true. But I think the Warriors.
Regular season, they lost a lot of players. I totally can see it. A lot of rookies play next year, and second year guys. So
But I think Moody and Kuminga, yeah, they're young, but I feel like with like the way Draymond, like we saw this. I don't think it was this season. The way he would talk to Wiseman mid game, I think I like Draymond. I think I like Moody and Kuminga.
I'd be
Getting
more
them.
worried about the other guys. I think I'm more worried about like their 8, 9, 10 guys.
Yeah.
Baldwin,
I think I'm more worried about. Yeah.
Rollins hurt.
Yeah.
I don't feel great about that. They got DiVincenzo now too. He could. I
That's a
think he's
great.
gonna have some
That's a
injury stuff.
great GP2 replacement. That's a great GP2 replacement.
Yeah, that is a fantastic. Exactly the type of player. So it's a better shooter. So
Yeah.
but I think it's probably a good place to end, honestly.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I agree.
We should talk, like, once we know more about the offseason, we'll talk more about that. Hopefully a little bit more concisely. We're still working on getting it down to condensed subject matter, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's a good place to end this.
All right, appreciate everyone came through the stream. Thank y'all for all like the subs and bits today. I appreciate y'all. It's the end of the 5x5 podcast. It's your host, Lil Spice of Ice, with my co-hosts MP Complete 34 and J Flight 31. I hope all y'all have a blessed and prosperous week. We'll see y'all again soon. Stay safe. Peace.